Forward. Understanding the fundamental mindsets of both the male and female perception of things will allow the very obvious distinctions to become evident. This is clearly depicted in the thought process that clearly defines the woman's need for love while the man's needs are primarily different, as shown in the prioritized need for respect instead of the lesser valued element of love. Get all the info you need here. Chapter 1: Finding Love Basics. When exploring the love basics element within the human society, all parties must be able to relate to this very fundamental notion of difference. For most people, having a relationship that is both respectful of each other's feelings and the ability to freely express affection would be their prime concern and goal. However, with the pressures of other elements, it is often very hard to focus on creating the ideal relationship based on these two vitals. Sometimes making the quest a part of their lives will give them the opportunity to find a meaningful element or platform to make their life have some direction and purpose. The basics. Understanding that most people would have to make a conscious effort to create the ideal partnership ensures all parties involved would try their best to ensure the partnership is built on the most ideal and best elements that would contribute to a strength and longevity of the relationship. This would sometimes require those involved to go the extra mile for each other and to also master some necessary skill that would prove to be useful during the courtship period. Finding love would require some initial physical and mental contributions on the part of each individual, as there would have to be various different elements that would have to seem to be working together in order to ensure the end results would be appealing to the party being wooed. Chapter 2: Prepare yourself to find true love. For the very lucky few, true love seems to simply pop up and know them right off their feet into a dream world of wonder and bliss, but for the rest of the world, finding true love requires quite a bit of conscious effort and guile. Get ready. Understanding that there are no quick fixes and that all parties seeking true love should explore all avenues present would be something worth considering, as this will definitely help to lessen the disappointing possibilities as they arise. The following are some of the best tips to finding true love while minimizing disappointment. Most experts advocate understanding and finding one's true self before attempting to find the comfort love from an outside force. Learning to be at peace and be filled with happiness without the need for outside accreditation would be a good place to start. Being comfortable with one's self and being able to spend time alone and enjoying one's own company are all things that should be acceptable to the individual before embarking on the quest to include others into the equation. In order to find true love, the individual should first be able to love themselves for what and whom they are, as this will be very clearly depicted in the way they treat themselves and how they go about their daily life. Therefore, as the individual is totally comfortable with their own personality and everything that is included within that personality, then only will the said individual be able to seek and find love outside these perimeters. Patience is another very important element to exercise when it comes to finding and keeping true love. Opportunities will be missed if the individual is not able to exercise patience and caution when seeking out relationships with the intention of establishing a strong and loving relationship. Chapter 3: Know how to recognize true love. Often people are either too caught up in their own life pursuits or are simply too clueless to recognize the beginnings of true love in existing relationships. However, for the lucky few who do not seem to have this particular problem, finding true love is explained by them through the following points. Understand this. Those who suddenly find themselves unwilling to go on dates with new people and would rather spend time with a particular person, is perhaps the first indication to the possibility of a true love relationship prospect. Wanting to be exclusively available to one person and feel totally comfortable about such a choice is definitely a strong indication to go by. Another good indication would be to no longer be interested in keeping in touch with all the people listed in the famously termed Black Book. The choice made to no longer need the company of those listed in the Black Book but rather in favor of one particular person, would indeed show a clear leaning towards feelings that are deeper and perhaps ones that will eventually evolve towards true love. Would show the individual just how much value is given to the other party's company and companionship. If the notion or prospect of spending time within this relationship brings on excitement and anticipation, is also another good indication of the possibility of true love forming. Wanting to be in the other person's company as much as possible is definitely the beginnings of something that is not fleeting. Chapter 4: Showing Love Basics. Every relationship requires the ingredient of love shown in various degrees. In the quest to be able to establish a strong and loving relationship, both parties should be able to learn all the various ways and actions that clearly get the message of love and concern across. The following are some of the very basic ways to clearly get the message of love across to the other party through actions. Show it. The simplest form of trying to show affection and love without coming on too strong would be the physical contact made whenever both parties are in each other's company. This could be as simple as holding hands or as protective and intimate as a kiss. A casual arm on the shoulder of the other party while walking or even sitting is also another non-invasive way of expressing love. Snuggling up together when relaxing is also a good way to show love and affection towards each other. This is especially welcomed when both parties are not otherwise distracted or occupied. Some couples take this a step further by whispering loving, complimenting or other positive words into each other's ears. This action is certainly one that depicts intimacy and love. Mentioning how much they are missed when apart is also something most loving couple would express. Doing things for each other without actually being asked to do so is a great way to show love. The other party would certainly feel loved and appreciated when such actions are extended to them without any prompting. This will give them a sense of value and certainly help them see the loving action as a sign of commitment and care. Presenting each other with gifts that don't signify any particular occasion except to show love and affection would certainly be a good attention-grabbing action. These gifts need not be expensive but simply thoughtful and sincere. Chapter 5: Be careful of actions and behaviors. Actions and behavioral patterns expressed within a relationship definitely dictate in some way the kind of feelings evident from both parties, and this is usually a good indication of the strength of love and commitment. Being careful in how these actions are played out and interpreted is important if the individual is keen on keeping the relationship alive and strong. Be cautious. There are several documented materials compiled that clearly show the actual level these actions and behaviors shown can affect the relationship, therefore a lot of thought should ideally go into any such displays before they are actually acted out. Both parties should take the trouble to ensure all actions and behaviors are carefully expressed, as once these actions or behaviors are exercised, the negative impact that it can depict will almost always be hard to justify or erase. In some more severe cases, such actions and behaviors may even cause destruction within the relationship and the eventual ending of the said relationship. This is especially true when such displays are done in a very public manner for the others to witness. The embarrassment felt would in all probability not be justifiable enough for the receiving party to forgive or forget. Women are much more sensitive to actions and behaviors that depict them in a poor light, thus making such displays almost unacceptable for them. Being able to behave well and show some level of maturity and consideration is usually what most people would want extended to them, and in doing so all parties will be able to comfortably respect each other's boundaries of tolerance. Men too don't respond well to being publicly corrected or talked down to, thus their partners should learn the vital lesson of keeping such actions and behaviors to the confines of their own private space. Chapter 6: Be honest and pay attention. Honesty is almost always one of the most highly valued elements within the confines of any relationship, and this is more so demanded within the partnership of a man and woman. In most cases it is found that women are more likely to hold the element of honesty as a highly prized value when comparing to other human value systems. Honesty. In order of both parties to establish a strong and loving long-term relationship, the elements of honesty and being able to be alert to the other party's feelings and needs is very pivotal indeed. Another very helpful trait to develop would be to anticipate the needs and work towards having these needs met adequately. This will certainly be highly appreciated by the receiving party and will more than likely be reciprocated. If the individual is really committed to making the relationship work, then taking the extra effort to pay attention to all the minor details within the relationship as a whole will give him or her a good perspective and opportunity to always be prepared for the unexpected and extend actions that would be depicted as genuinely caring and considerate. Most relationships eventually make the mistake to taking each other's feeling for granted, thus eventually becoming rather lazy and inattentive to the needs of the other party. This of course is a rather negative and destructive mindset to develop, as it will defiantly be one of the pivotal points that contribute to the eventual downfall of the relationship. If the element of honesty is established very early on in the relationship, both parties will be able to speak their mind without the hindrance of deceit taking root in any area. Honest is appreciated in almost all circumstances, but being honest in a gently and considerate manner would be advised, especially when feelings are involved. Chapter 7: Spend quality time and say it. With all the distractions of today's daily needs of every individual, it is sometimes very difficult for people to stop and make the effort to spend quality time with their significant other. Commitments and distractions often cause the parties to go through life without actually fortifying the relationship until it suffers significantly enough to be on the verge of collapse. This is indeed a rather poor state of affairs to be in, thus the need to ensure some quality time is scheduled as often as possible for each other. Some insight. Making this effort and ensuring it is well noted and received is a good way to build a relationship that lasts through thick and thin. Spending quality time is something that needs planned attention, and certainly a concerted effort on the part of both parties, especially when there are significant work and family commitments to contend with on a daily basis. However, without this effort, the relationship will eventually become stale and boring, which could lead to either party seeking the missing link outside to the existing relationship. This of course would be a rather dangerous journey to explore, as the eventual damage to the existing relationship could be so extensive that recovery may not be an available option. For some, establishing time for both parties to set aside may be a struggle, but the insistence of this very healthy endeavor will eventually bring forth good and beneficial results to the relationship. Persistence in this area would definitely be well rewarded in the end, as it will clearly show each other the level of commitment both parties are willing to take to strengthen the relationship. Being vocal about this is also very important, as this too will show the significant other the seriousness of the individual's commitment to the betterment of the relations. Wrapping up every living element functions better with the presence of love in the existing equation. However, most people are so caught up with their own everyday agendas, they often forget the importance of demonstrating love towards each other, especially within the marriage perimeter. Almost every married couple will be able to relate to this particular lack within their marriage at one point or another. Therefore, it would be very helpful if both parties understood the importance of being lovingly demonstrative within the marriage, as this will often be the single most effective tool to keep the marriage from adversity and strife. Being able to demonstrate love through actions and verbalization is something very much expected, certainly highly regarded, and valued, as most couple would attest to. This demonstration will speak volumes into the condition and well-being of the relationship, as it would be the ideal and significant way to show each other's love and commitment to making the marriage work. Lack of demonstrative love will only allow negativity and questions to creep into the marriage, thus creating a lot of unnecessary animosity toward each other. Human beings respond very well to acts of kindness and love, thus there is no need to refrain from such displays of lovingness simply because a couple is married or has been married for a long time. In fact, the longer the couples are together, the more the acts of lovingness should be encouraged and displayed. With the presence of such acts being prevalent within the relationship, there would be very little room for the couple to find fault with each other, and even when fault is found, the negativity surrounding such a situation could be significantly minimized. Therefore, the importance of demonstrating love should never be underestimated.